we've heard about the credit crunch for a very long time, haven't we? But people didn't really think it was going to affect them until now. Now they want to understand it. So is that your experience with the people that you work with, that they're trying to understand it now, really understand it?
Yes, I think people are beginning to make sense of it. Some of the things I say about this are that when we're faced with stress, there are really three typical human responses to this. One is to feel powerless, to feel we can't control events. The second is to feel threatened, to feel that one's faced only with threats. And the third is to feel that one has to look after oneself primarily. One becomes rather self-absorbed. And I know that you wanted to ask me about families and the effect on families. So if one bears those things in mind, what we're talking about is how can you really regain some control in this chaotic environment? What are the things you can adapt in your lifestyle, for example? Rather than focusing on the threats, focus on what opportunities there might be here. There are things that you maybe wanted to do in your life. There's a time to consider that now, rather than simply to think of all the gloomy news that we're surrounded with.
And it probably depends what sort of age group you are as well, because if you're older and heading towards retirement, you're probably pretty panicky about the state of your pension. If you're younger, you may see it as an opportunity, maybe putting more money into your pension. But everyone is unsure, and that's the worry, isn't it?
People indeed are unsure, and as I say, people become self-absorbed. It's a time really to think, not just for families but for individuals, really what are your commitments? What is your purpose in your life? What really matters to you? Because you'll tend to lose sight of that. You'll tend to get caught up in protecting yourself, protecting your assets, as if life was really about material possessions, which for some of us perhaps it is, but for the vast majority other questions are important, and it's important, I think, for families to have these kinds of conversations with each other, to remind themselves that actually material possessions probably aren't what making you happy, that your relationships and how you see the future are important things to discuss.
So if you're feeling particularly stressed right now about the future and perhaps you have seen your investments go down, you may be in a bit of debt, and you're going home and you're suggesting that perhaps you take that out on your family. What advice for those people when you actually do get home? I mean, it's very hard to say, don't worry about it when things are getting worse.
No, but try and be realistic. Try and remember the things I've just said, to look at it in a more broader perspective. Human beings are very hedonistic. That is, we are very caught up in our current pleasure or pain state. And we tend to predict the future based on how good or bad are we feeling now. We know from research that those are very inaccurate estimates.
So it might not actually be that bad now, is what you're saying?
Quite. Remember that the future will actually be different to how it is now.
You've still got your family, you've still got your house, you've still got your car.
Exactly. And remember also that emotions are very contagious, especially from parents to children, that your brain is sending out messages about your emotions through your behaviour, and your children will pick this up. So whatever state of mind you are in, whatever emotion you're in, you can fairly safely assume your children will pick that up.
Quickly, is it worth speaking to your children about it or avoiding the subject altogether?
No, definitely speak to them. They'll be reading the newspapers, they'll be hearing about unemployment, they're worrying whether you're going to get unemployed. Speak to them, be realistic about them, but remember that for children the impact may not be so great. In a couple of years, which is more a time span for a child's life, things will have probably improved again.